Hey guys, Saiyan here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so we are continuing with the guides for the new Super Battle Road stages that are coming out for JP, and we are moving on to the special pose one. So this one definitely a little bit interesting, but we are gonna jump right in, and as always talk about my top picks and some honourable mentions. As always, if I miss out a unit or don't really talk about them enough and you think they deserved a little bit more discussion, or like I said I missed them completely, do let me know down below in the comment section. Smash like if you find the guide useful, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into special pose. So as you can see, the main leader is the Int Gotenks, and then there are a bunch of sub-leaders. The Int Gotenks is really good. We've mentioned him in some of the previous guides already. When it comes to ESBR for the new stages that came out on Global, I think I used this guy in every single stage that it was possible to use him. His base form is where he's the weakest, and he's still pretty good, because he does have the 50% defense raise on super attack. And then as soon as you become Super Saiyan Gotenks on turn 3, you can multiple super. Each one raises defense by 50% and has a 70% chance to stun. So stunning is definitely one of the most powerful abilities to utilize in Super Battle Road. We don't know what the stages are going to look like yet, but any stages where there's like only 2 enemies, or even the ones where the final boss is only 1 enemy, stunning becomes brokenly powerful, because you can keep an enemy locked in like a stun train. And if there's 2 enemies, just work on getting rid of the other one while the stunned one can't do anything to you. And then on any of the stages, regardless of how many enemies there are, as soon as you drop down to only having 1 enemy left, as long as you get the good RNG with the stun chance, they just can't do anything to you for the rest of the fight. And so having 70% chance to stun with built-in chance to additional super, so even at 55% you can double super. He is incredibly good. You're probably not going to see Super Saiyan 3 unless maybe it is one of those ones where the final boss is only 1 fight and he has a ton of HP. But if you do ever get to Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, he's probably just going to finish out the round on that turn, because he's insanely powerful. He gets a 70% chance of launching an additional super for 4 turns. So again, if you have dupes, you could triple super with him on the turn that he transforms into Super Saiyan 3, and he's just going to wipe out everyone, because he greatly raises attack and defense on each of those supers as well. So he still has a 50% chance to stun, which is pretty good. But by the time you get to his transformation, he's probably going to be finishing off anyone who is left. So then up next, as one of the main sub-leaders, we have the Int Toppo that released on the LR Jiren banner. Obviously he went into the general pool, so he's been available on every banner for quite some time now on JP. He leads Universe 11 or Special Pose, but obviously for the sake of this stage you can only use Special Pose units. But his leader skill is 120 and 3 key, so perfectly reasonable leader skill. If you don't have the Gotenks, you can use him and then bring the Gotenks as a friend, and he will be fine. He lowers attack on super, which is something, again, like stunning, is very useful in Super Battle Road. He has 110% attack and defense, and then he gets double that essentially when there are 3 or more Universe 11 category allies on the team. I don't think you can do that on Special Pose, because you can bring... Oh, actually, I guess you can, because you can bring Dispo, you can bring God Toppo, and then I think it includes him as well, so technically that would work. So he'd have very solid stats. He guards all attacks when there's another Universe 11 category ally attacking in the same turn. So if you have him on a rotation, linked up with God Toppo, for example, for the support, who is another very strong unit after his EZA, this guy guards and has very good stats if you have the full requirement to get that extra 110%. He also gives Universe allies a buff as well, or Universe 11 allies a buff. So God Toppo is definitely a super good unit to run alongside him. After his EZA, he has fairly decent defense. He gives allies 1 key and attack and defense 40%. Debuffs the enemy's defense a little bit, which isn't super useful. But he does have 40% damage reduction when HP is 70% or less, which is a very common occurrence in Super Battle Road. So these two linked together would definitely be very strong. And then, like we said, with the Int Toppo passive, I didn't really highlight Dispo as one of these units that we're going to talk about, because I don't think he's that great for Super Battle Road, but you could use him, and then there is the free-to-play Casserole as well, if you really wanted to take advantage of Int Toppo. So especially if he is your best choice for leader because you don't have Gotenks, it might make sense to fully maximize him by bringing those Universe 11 units. But Toppo is really good. He's the one out of all of them that I would say is worth bringing on the team anyway. Even if you're not using this guy and you're running a Gotenks lead, he's a very good support unit. So next up we have the free-to-play Saiyan 2/1. All the different Saiyan 1 and 2 seem to have different names, which is cool because it means you can run them all together and they actually link. Because obviously JP, you do have the same name update, but same name units can't link. But a bunch of these Saiyan 1 and 2s have different names, so these guys will link up well. They are the free-to-play leader though, so they only have a 50% lead. So I don't think I would probably use them as a lead. They can be worth running on the team because they have a medium chance to dodge built in. They lower the enemy's attack when they attack. They don't even need to super. And then they give special pose allies 2 ki and 30% to stats, which is a pretty decent support as well. And then you can exchange when there's only one enemy left, although their HP has to be 58% or more. They can exchange into the Saiyan 1, then they just become like a hard-hitting unit and don't have the support. So I think realistically they're best used as a support. If you don't have any of the summonable leaders though, I don't think they are the best person to use as a lead. I would move on to this unit here, the LR Saiyan 1 and 2, because they have the leader skill, super type allies, HP, attack and defense 100% when team includes all 5 super types. So no ki, but they do give 4 ki on their passive. So you would have to bring supports, but you could bring these guys as your leader, bring an Int Gotenks friend, and then you just have to make sure you have a unit of each typing on the team. So obviously this would be a perfect example to use the Toppo. I mean, I guess if you have Toppo, you're just going to use him as a leader anyway. But Toppo, God Toppo, and Dispo fill out like Int, STR, and AGL, and then these guys are physical. But, I mean, to be fair, Toppo's the better leader regardless. But this guy's good. Obviously, there's Int units that you can bring along. We'll talk about more of them anyway. So you're probably not going to be running Toppo if you're forced to run these guys as a lead. But they are pretty good. You can deliberately go for their 12 ki super to get the guaranteed seal on enemies, which is very useful. Their 18 ki does Mega Colossal, raises super class allies attack by 30% for 2 turns. So you can use them as a 3rd slot floating unit, and when you get their 18 ki super, it still means the units on the next rotation are getting an attack buff, which is very good. And then, like I said, they give 4 ki, they also give 50% defense, and they do debuff the enemy's defense by a little bit. And of course, these are the Friend Summon LR, so if you've been playing for any significant amount of time, you probably have these guys already. And so yeah, they're kind of like the final option for a stand-in leader. So next up we have the Ribrianne. So obviously everyone memes about Ribrianne, but her card is actually very solid. She obviously instantly transforms. She has 120% attack and defense. She gets an additional 10% and all enemies attack and defense minus 10% up to 30 per Peppy Gal's category ally on the team. And then she gives Peppy Gal's category allies 2 ki and 30% attack and defense. So as long as you have 3 other Peppy Gals on the team, well, actually, I think it includes her. So 2 other Peppy Gals. You're giving the enemy a 30% attack debuff. She's getting a decent buff to her defense as well. She seals on super attack, so she can be very useful. But like the Toppo, you do kind of need to build the team around maximizing her if you want her to be good. But in special pose, we do have the free-to-play Kakunsa and the Rosie as well. They're kind of all designed to be run together. Kakunsa infinitely stacks attack and lowers the enemy's attack, which is pretty good. And then the Rosie infinitely stacks defense and does supreme damage, lowers the enemy's defense, which isn't that great. But she seals the attacked enemy's super attack if there is an ally whose name is Rosie or Kakunsa on the same turn. And then what does she do? She has a high chance of stunning the attacked enemy when there's a Ribrianne or Rosie on the same turn. So using a combo of these 3 together on the special pose team can actually be very good. And obviously, whilst Ribrianne is summonable, these 2 are both free-to-play units, so quite easy to get hold of them if you don't have them already. And so that can fill out quite a large amount of the team already for you, and they will be fairly effective. Obviously, as free-to-play units, they're not crazy broken or anything like that, so you would need to use items to shore up their defense, but they definitely will be effective. So next up we have Gotenks and Ghost. Super good, just like the Int summonable Gotenks. They are a unit that you can pretty much put onto any team that they will fit on for a Super Battle Road stage, and they'll be really good. They greatly raise their defense on Super, as well as getting a bunch of extra attack and defense per Rainbow Orb. So after supering, their defense can actually be really, really good. They do also recover HP from Rainbow Orbs, so getting a bit of free healing is always nice, and they do have a 50% chance to stun. So even though they don't have Fierce Battle, they can obviously work very well alongside the other Gotenks or any other Gotenks units that you might bring, because there are a couple more that we'll talk about. But again, free to play, very, very solid option for any Super Battle Road stage, so they are going to be a good one for this team for sure. Next up we have the STR Super Saiyan 2 Saiyan, obviously has his awakening on JP. Very, very good. Greatly raises attack and defense on Super. You're probably only going to be using him as a third slot support unit, but the fact that he is greatly raising his defense means that he's not going to be a huge liability in that final slot, because he starts off with 70% attack and defense, then he gets an extra 10% with each attack performed up to 58%. Superclass allies get 3 key and 30% to stats, and then an additional 3 key and defense and attack 58% when there is an extreme class enemy. So again, we don't know what all the enemies are going to be like, but because special pose is very much the kind of like Saiyaman, Gotenks, like Heroes of Justice kind of thing. I know they made a separate new category for that. I imagine a lot of the enemies on this one are going to be extreme, but I guess we'll see. And then he does debuff the extreme class enemy's defense as well. So if the enemies are extreme, this guy's going to be insanely good, depending on how well you can build the team. He might even be good enough to be a main rotation unit if you're someone who's having to rely on a lot of the free-to-play cards, because he is very, very good. So definitely auto-include on the team if you have this guy. So then we have the STR Super Saiyan Gotenks. He's pretty good for Super Battle Road, because as long as there's 2 or more enemies, he does give all allies 1 key and then 40% attack and defense, which is a very solid buff. He does have a medium chance to stun on super attack as well, so he can be very useful. Obviously, once you drop down to only 1 enemy, he's not providing the support buff anymore, so he's not quite as good. And his own defense, especially when his support passive is not active, is not particularly great. And his stun chance is only medium as well, which is 30%, but still definitely can be very useful. Then we have the physical Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. We've talked about him in a previous one already as well. Obviously post Easy A on JP, he's very, very powerful. If you can get his 11 key super, not only are you massively raising attack, but he's super effective against all types, so it doesn't matter which enemy you target with him, and he's going to be able to do crazy amounts of damage. And of course, for the first 7 turns, which pretty much encompasses an entire Super Battle Road fight, his full passive is active, so he's getting a ton of attack, ton of defense, and has a built-in medium chance to dodge. So he is very, very strong. Like the rotation of him and the Int Gotenks together, you put this guy in slot 1, because his defense start of turn is incredibly good and he has a built-in chance to dodge. Then Int Gotenks goes off in slot 2, raising his defense and potentially stunning. And yeah, that rotation is going to be very, very powerful. And then last up, I thought we'd give an honourable mention to the physical Super Saiyan Gotenks. I do think the STR one is slightly better because of his support and his ability to stun. Whereas this guy, he can still be useful because he seals. The only problem is his defense isn't that great, because obviously start of turn on turn 1, he technically has no defense, and it's with each super attack he gets 30% defense. So on turn 1, you obviously don't want to put him in slot 1, and after super attacking once, he's only got 30% defense. So as a unit who seals, before he got his Easy A, additionals wasn't like the best build for him, so I don't imagine many people went pretty additional heavy. Whereas post Easy A, he definitely would be good with some additional, but I feel like he's a unit that's dropped off quite significantly, even though he is an Easy A unit. I don't really find myself ever using him, especially in the harder content. So those are the top picks and honourable mentions. If we have a quick look back at the list, obviously Goten and Trunks, super outdated now, especially in difficult content. They really need their Easy A. I mean, if we look at the extreme side, the entire Ginyu Force is on here. So technically, if you had no other options, you could run the entire free-to-play Ginyu Force on this team. Maybe I'll do that as a video when it comes to Global, because obviously to do the first ever no items run on Ginyu Force, I did link level 10, all of them, so that could be an interesting video to see if they could actually get that done. Thouser is on there as well. Thouser would probably be a much better replacement for, I guess technically it's the coolest arm in the squad when they're TUR, but probably better than one of the Ginyu Force members to be on the team if you wanted to do full extreme. But they are the only extreme units on there, is the Ginyu Force, obviously Goku Ginyu, and then the Cooler's Armored Squadron / Thouser. But looking over here, I don't think there's anyone really we missed. Like I said, Dispo I don't think is all that great. The AGL Gotenks is super bad. This guy's okay. He's like a Super Types Majin Buu Saga support unit, so the team doesn't have a lot of those units, but obviously Gotenks does come under that. All the Gotenks is in fact, so I guess he could actually be very useful. He's a pretty good standalone unit by himself. The physical Ribrianne is not very good, but she is a giant form unit, so I mean you can always get those couple of turns of free damage, but I don't think she's particularly good. So the free-to-play Ribrianne is an option if you want to run like the free-to-play Universe 11 girls, if you are having to rely on like a free-to-play team, but obviously not super strong. But there you go, that is the top picks and honourable mentions. Like I said at the beginning, if you think there's a unit that I missed or that we didn't really talk enough about, explain their strengths well enough, let me know down below in the comments and we can continue the discussion down there. And let us know what your team builds are going to be for this special pose stage. Help each other out even more in the comment section down below. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.